So I decided to fly from inside my bedroom, the Mavic 3, maybe capture some slow motion. And to do that, I needed to capture a few satellites. And it became apparent that getting these satellites was not happening anytime too soon. So I thought about taking a nap, come back, be all set. But then I realized I could be waiting a really long time. So I decided that the minute I had enough satellites to lift the drone up in the air, that I would go get my own satellites. And if the home point registers way out there, I didn't care. I would just remap the home point and be good. So as soon as I could, I got the drone up in the air. I could see it through the window. I had good visual line of sight for about maybe 700 to 1,000 feet, and I was good to go. But at this point, I still didn't have the home point. I had about 10 satellites. Eventually, I raised it up another 2 feet. I got my 12 satellites. I got my home point recorded. I was all set. And then I decided to fly out towards the lake and see what is the maximum number of satellites that I'm going to get from flying inside the bedroom. And it was the exact same number that I would get from flying inside the car. And it's the same exact number if I stood outside. The most number of satellites that I can get is 20. Now, what's interesting is after I got the 20, I brought it back and I decided, is it just based on height alone, how high I need to go? So I did a few tests. I took off like a banshee here and I went up to a couple hundred feet high and I got my 20. I lowered it back down and I got 16. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a pretty big drop. So for me, it seems very height dependent on these satellites. And I was surprised that I lost them so quick and gained them back so quick. So that's what you're seeing here is me working with that. And then I'm going to bring the drone back and land on the lunar pad, which you see there, which is really nice for the snow and the mud and the sand because it's thick, it's heavy. And it's designed for the Mavic 3 and the Mavic 2 and the Air 2 and the Mavic Pro. And then I decided to capture my slow motion footage, which you're looking at right here. And these flakes were just beautiful, just beautiful. So that went really well. And at this point I had about 16 satellites again. So I could not keep 20 unless I kept my height at 100 feet or higher. And of course there's wind, not a lot of it, but there definitely was wind. And this was the flight out over towards the lake that I had taken earlier. And it handled it just fine. I stayed, like I said, within 100 feet. And right about here is where I got my maximum number of satellites, 20. Normally, if I drive right up to the lake, to the bridge, I'll still get 20. If I stand outside, I'll still get 20. So it doesn't really make a difference whether I'm flying from inside my house, my bedroom, the car, the Jeep. It makes no difference. And now we're getting really nice slow motion again. When you have these big flakes, it just adds to the cinema effect, if that's what you're going for. And I really haven't been able to enjoy the Mavic 3 as much because I'm constantly negotiating problems and trying to figure out the best way to deal with them, besides just sending it back. So I'm gaining more confidence all the time in what little we have to work with because I'm finding workarounds. And this was a nice shot, just going up this one tree and capturing the slow motion. I really like the slow motion on the M3. It's really smooth. It's really nice. You don't have to do any editing to it. It just comes out really, really nice. The Air 2S, the same thing, but this works better with the low light, the slow motion. So I'm enjoying that. And this year I'm going to try to capture as much B-roll as I can in slow motion because you never know when you're going to get something really nice. Not that this is it, but you get the idea. So at this point, I'm just trying to do a little cinematic view, capturing a couple different colors here and there that's left from winter. And it's all going pretty smooth, but again, I don't have 20 satellites, I have 16. So 16 seems to be the one that it kind of synced to and it didn't lose. And I was curious as to how many satellites am I going to get when I land back on the deck where I took off from, when I started off with 6. So that was interesting to see what happened there. And I'll show you just a little bit of that. So just a little bit more slow motion. And it does a good job at handling the wind and still providing you a really nice picture. And of course, having that extra battery, that pays off. That pays off a lot. Mentally, it pays off. And it pays off for the drone, obviously. And you don't really panic when things are going a little wrong. For instance, waiting 5 minutes for me to get, a few more satellites to get up in the sky. So, just a quick little pan. A little too fast for the slow motion to keep it smooth. You really do have to move very slowly when you pan. And there's just another shot.